Okay, so this is the first lecture on Chapter 1, Elements, and in many ways it is one of the most important chapters of the whole book because it really gives you a foundation of terms and concepts that you will be using for the rest of the semester, applying these to whatever it is that you are studying and listening to, okay? So please do take time. I've allowed, I think, 2 weeks for this chapter. So read it very carefully and make sure that you're really thinking about and absorbing these concepts and terms. So pitch, highness or lowness of sound, pretty self-explanatory. Here they give you the scale of solfege that we use in Western music, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Sure that you have heard about that at some time or another. Dynamics is how soft or how loud a sound is. And of course, in any piece of music, it's very rare that you would have just one dynamic, like all soft or all really loud. Usually there are variances and contrasts in the piece. So these um, Italian terms give us a frame of reference to be able to use to describe how loud or soft a piece is. So pianissimo or two P's, piano, mezzo piano, mezzo forte, forte, fortissimo. Okay, so you don't necessarily have to use these terms, but good to know what they mean, especially in the realm of classical music. Okay, tone color is something that I'm going to ask you to use in the first assignment. What is the tone color of this person's voice? So some of the words that are possible in describing that would be bright, dark, brilliant, mellow, rich. You can use your own terminology to the best of your ability to describe what it is that you hear. Okay, and of course, not always voices, also instruments as well. Okay, so these are listening outlines of some of the pieces that I'm sure that I have included onto the listening assignment. So we'll go to the next section here. Okay, so the next section describes voices, different voice types. Women's voices are classified as soprano, mezzo-soprano, alto. So depending on the range that they sing, how high or how low they sing, but also the tone quality will determine these classifications. And with men, it would be tenor, baritone, and bass. Okay, I'm sure that you have heard those terms before if you've ever been in a choir or done any vocal study. And then the text will take you through all of the different instruments, instrument types in the orchestra. Okay, so please do look through this and watch these videos that will show you little clips of people playing these instruments so you can learn to recognize the sounds. And I'm sure a lot of you already can do that, but there may be some instruments that you're not as familiar with. These are all the woodwinds, from big to small. These are brass instruments, tuba, trumpet, trombone, percussion instruments. Okay, so make sure you look through all of that. Okay, so then the next section talks about rhythm. Okay, so very important as a characteristic of music is the beat, right? So all of you who listen to music, you know exactly what that means. It's what you would feel instinctively as a pulse of the music that can then be divided into different sections, right? Or different subsections. So they have here as an example, My Country 'Tis of Thee. So that would be the beat would be kind of a moderate, not too fast, not too slow, in groups of three. So my country 'tis of thee. sweet land of liberty, right? And what I'm doing with my hand here is I'm beating groups of three. So it's kind of like a waltzy sort of rhythm, right? So it's not a group of four, but it's a group of three. So that would be the reference of meter. If somebody were to ask you what meter is this, and you would say it's in three. Okay, accents and syncopation. So in music, a lot of times we have pulses that are stronger than others. Here they have the example, give my regards to Broadway, give my regards to Broadway. Okay, so the way that I sang that, I emphasized the first beat of each of these measures, right? Give my regards to Broadway. So it's very clear that the first beat is the most important in these groups of four beats. Tempo describes how fast or slow a piece is. And again, we have these Italian terms, okay, which you can try and incorporate or not. You could use English terms as well, like slow, moderately slow, fast, lively, and so on, okay. All right, and then the next section talks about melody. So in any piece of music, we have the melody, whether it's sung by a voice or played by an instrument, okay? And this shows how the music is notated. Actually, this is about notation. The next section is about melody. There we go. Okay, so they use the very kind of popular round, row, row, row your boat, okay? And they have labeled these little letters here. So row, row, row your boat gently down the stream is one part of the melody. And then merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Okay, so as you hear, the second part of it is very different from the first part of the melody. So they've labeled the first part A and the second part B, okay, just to show that we have two different kinds of content to the melody. Okay, and then they show you some other examples and how they label them and so on. We are going to listen to a song in the next video, one that hopefully you will know by Adele, and we will do this kind of analysis, okay? That will help you with the assignment that we need to do. Okay, so the next section should be about harmony. Okay, so harmony is what you hear underneath the melody or on top of the melody that provides the whole sound of the song, but is basically, we can describe it as being subservient to the melody. So the my country, 'tis of thee would be the melody, and then harmonies that you would hear from other voices or instruments singing below or descant above or something would be considered the harmony. Okay, and so we will hear examples of that. You'll hear examples of that in the listening that you do and also in the next video. Okay, so then the key is what we use to classify a piece of music in a particular unit according to what the notes are. Okay, so that's kind of a complicated way of saying that every song or instrumental piece is in a certain key that allows the musicians to be able to read it. Okay, you don't have to worry too much about it, but please do read through this chapter so you see what the basis of harmonic structure is. Okay, musical texture. So this is pretty important. Please spend some time on this chapter. The texture of a piece of music is pretty important in recognizing the progression of music from the very early medieval period through Baroque, classical, romantic, and contemporary, and then the music that we listen to today. So this terminology polyphonic texture, and there should be homophonic down here, is pretty important for you to understand, okay? So the monophonic texture is when you just hear one melody, and there is no harmony and no accompaniment, okay? So just one melody. So in the medieval period, you will hear all kinds of examples of that when everybody just sang the same melody without any variance, right? All together in the same rhythm. Kyrie eleison, Christe eleison. So there'd be many, many voices that would be singing that together. So that is monophonic. And sometimes we do have that, let's say in contemporary pop songs at the beginning or in the middle or near the end or something, all of a sudden all of the instruments will cut out, the harmonies will cut out, and the singer will just sing, you know, one melody. Also in instrumental music we have that too. So we do have occurrences of that, but very rarely do we have like one complete piece which is just a you know, single melody. Polyphonic texture is when you have different voices or lines of music going on that are independent of each other, okay? So they use as an example, row your boat. And if you've ever heard that sung as a round, where one singer starts, the next singer starts at a different point, and then the third singer starts at a different point. Now they're all singing the same melody, but at different times. So when you listen to that, it sounds like kind of a complex texture of three independent melodies. Okay, so you will have a lot of examples of that in your listening assignments. And then homophonic texture, I would say, is probably the most prevalent, especially in the pop music of today, where you have one melody that is prominent, and then you have an accompaniment underneath with either voices or with instruments or combination, okay? So these three kinds of textures are very important for you to be able to recognize and for you to describe, identify, oh, that's monophonic, that's polyphonic, okay? So in the next video, we're going to analyze the song by Adele using those terms. So we'll be able to put it into practice. Okay, so I think that's it for the lecture on the elements section. Again, please do take some time to read through the whole thing. Chapter 9 is, or section 9 is about musical form. Okay, do go through that. It is a way of classifying these phrases into bigger sections. And then there's also a section on performance and what it's like to go to a live performance. And hopefully you all will be able to have the opportunity to go and see a live performance at some point during this semester. And then the musical style section describes all of the different periods of musical history. Okay, so have fun with this chapter, and I will see you at the next video.